Hi, my name is Mike Mata. This is my wife, Janata, and we're down here in Costa Rica talking about our experience at Metropolitano Hospital. My wife is going to tell you a little bit of how we arrived at this point, and I'll let her take it from here.
About 2.5 years ago, my husband was diagnosed with avascular necrosis, and he needed both of his hips replaced. And the reason we ended up in Costa Rica was Mike was put on a waiting list with Social Security and Medicare. And we were finding, I was just interested in finding alternative ways to get him fixed a lot sooner than they were willing to do for us. I researched Costa Rica, I researched India, I researched Thailand, and really what it came down to was, well, first of all, Mike was in so much pain that in order to take an airplane flight that was 20 hours, 30 hours, we just couldn't see it happening. We live in Surprise, Arizona, and that is a 6-hour flight, and we kind of broke it up by landing in Dallas, so he didn't have to sit for 6 hours straight. And we also chose Costa Rica because of the price. It was definitely more reasonable. But not only that, I think that through my research and trying to find the best doctors and trying to find the best care for Mike, it was just really just a good feeling. It was a good feeling from the very first time I contacted somebody via email. Their email just was returned back to me quickly. Other countries, it wasn't so much. And you could almost tell who was doing it for a business and who was doing it because they really, really wanted to help someone. So that was my reason for choosing this hospital and choosing here. It felt right.
And also, we had been to Costa Rica before, several years ago, and we felt comfortable coming somewhere where we kind of understood how the currency worked, and someplace that we just felt a little more comfortable. I mean, you can imagine going to Thailand or India. The language barrier there is far greater than the language barrier we've had to deal with here in Costa Rica, and that's mostly because we've grown up in the Southwest California, and we now reside in Surprise, Arizona. So it was an easier choice to come somewhere we had already visited, and someplace we thought the language barrier would be easier to overcome. But that turned out not to be an issue because the hospital was really, really great about keeping somebody who spoke English on staff while I was in the hospital. One of their nurses in particular, a male nurse, was just fantastic, and he started us up through the pre-surgical operations and was there every step of the way until I checked out. And I have tremendous gratitude towards all the staff here at Metropolitano Hospital for everything they've done. They were attentive, caring, nurturing, and having 2 hips replaced, I certainly wasn't in a position to care for myself, and I certainly didn't need Jana here to care for me. I think it would have been overwhelming for her. So the staff here really stepped up to the plate and made the whole thing easy.
And then after we were here, Mike was released 2-3 days after his surgery, and we went to a place called Via Plentitude for his medical recovery, and just so happy with everything, with his recovery and how they were able to help us. The doctors followed up with Mike's appointments. As a matter of fact, Dr. Siquiera came to Via Plentitude and saw Mike because Mike couldn't come to him. It's just been a wonderful experience. Of course, before we left, you can only imagine the amount of fear. You just kind of look at each other going, oh my gosh, what are we doing? You know, and everybody tends to live in fear, so they try and scare you and try and talk you out of it. And we just knew in our hearts that this was a good thing, and it's been wonderful. And it's only been a couple of weeks, and Mike's walking around. And you know, one of the things we talked about was, would you ever do a double hip replacement again? And I'll let Mike answer that.
Well, I would do it again if it were me, only because I wouldn't want to suffer one hip surgery and then know that I've got another one coming down the line. I think I might get snake bit and not necessarily go through with the second one, but it also depends on your medical condition. I happen to be in relatively good shape, and when I say relative, I mean 2.5 years I've been suffering with bad hips. I've certainly gained some weight and haven't been able to do all the things I wanted to do, And so the shape I'm in now is not an ideal shape, but I knew that I was young enough and strong enough to overcome one big major surgery, and it was major. Double hip replacement is no small task. So I wouldn't recommend it for everyone, but I sure am glad I did it, because I'm here 3 weeks afterwards and I'm walking on my own unassisted, and yeah, I still get tired at the end of the day, and I still have minor pain here and there. The medications I'm on are getting fewer and fewer, and I'm looking forward to going home soon. But you know, to be 3 weeks out and feel the way I feel, especially after a double hip replacement, I feel very fortunate, and I know my doctors were concerned about me every step of the way, so it was really a good experience. Well, one more thing that I wanted to talk with you about is the affordability overall of the whole procedure I had done here at Metropolitano Hospital. You know, I'm a working class guy. I've worked construction generally my whole life, and affording such a surgery in the U.S. was not possible, even with Medicare. I still would have been looking at a huge amount, but without Medicare I would have been looking at $50,000 a hip. And for this operation, upwards of $100,000, and who knows much more, you know, when you consider American hospitals. And here I was able to come down, have a great place to have a surgery done, have a great staff, a great surgeon, all for under about $25,000. And not only that, I got to recover in one of the most beautiful places in the world, along with my wife, which is a vacation wrapped inside a surgery, and it was really a fortunate thing for us. We didn't expect to be able to have this nice of a time post-surgery, spending our time in Costa Rica.
Mm-hmm. And I'd like to touch on how safe I felt. You know, having Mike go into the hospital and knowing that he was having his surgery, and me being in a place where I had to take a taxi to come see him, and it was very, very, very important to me to feel safe, and I did. I felt that I could do that. I felt that I could, you know, get a cab and show up, and I could leave at a certain time, and the security out front would get me a cab. Most everybody spoke English. If they didn't, I always had the business card of where I was going and the phone number, and you know, at times I felt alone because we were separate and he was in the hospital and I was at the room, but I could always call them. I could speak to one of his nurses. They were calling me. It was perfect. I never felt scared. There was no fear of having to go into San Jose. Can't say the first time I showed up in San Jose,
it was a little shocking.
I was surprised at how many hundreds of thousands of people there are, and I was a little bit concerned about, oh, how am I going to do this? But once we got here, and just everybody being so helpful and making sure that I was getting home and they would call me, it was
yeah, and
really
her
great.
Safety was paramount, key.
That was
key to the whole recovery, key to everything. You know, you worry about your spouse, and I didn't have to do that here. And the staff started that whole thing off by making sure that she was taken care of, making sure that I was taken care of. It was just a wonderful experience.
I had to go to the supermarket. I just, you know, you figure out a system, and everything's pretty close and pretty relative. So it was, in all, just a great choice.
Well, if I had any advice for friends or family that were interested in surgery or that were looking at surgical options abroad, I'd want them to visit CostaRicaHospitals.com. Costa Rica's been really good to me, the hospital's been really good to me, and I can't complain. Once again, my name is Mike Mata, and I live in Surprise, Arizona, and if you're really thinking about it, think about CostaRicaHospitals.com.
My name is Janata Mata, and once again, do your research. I think that you can really trust your intuition, and it's all about who you talk to. It's all about their attentiveness, and if it feels right in your heart, don't let anybody talk you out of it. It's definitely worth it.
Thank you.